Right, we're going to turn our attentions now to Chelsea's defeat at Stamford Bridge last night, which leaves the holders on the brink of a Champions League exit. Karim Benzema scored yet another hat-trick to give Real Madrid a 3-1 lead going into Tuesday's quarter-final second leg. And Thomas Tuchel believes the tie is all but over.
Is this alive? No. With this performance, no. Because first of all, we need to play Southampton, and if we don't get our heads and legs straight and our mentality right, we will not win in Southampton, and and then this tie is not alive. If things change, maybe, but how many clubs in worldwide football won with what we need? 3 goals difference. It's alarming because it's like in two games 7 goals, but nothing has changed.
Benzema is a really complete, not striker player, because Benzema, of course, score a lot of goals, and for this is really important. But for sure, he help a lot. The team in possession, he move. He's always in the right position, have a ball in the box, and so we are really happy and lucky to have him.
So, Ancelotti saying Benzema is a complete player. We'll come back to his performance very shortly. We're going to start, of course, with Chelsea, Mario, because Thomas Tuchel says the tie is no longer alive. Do you agree?
Yeah, it's going to be a tricky one. I mean, he mentioned it because it doesn't happen a lot, you know, that teams get themselves back into this kind of running. We have seen it happen, but yeah, I think also sometimes as a coach, you want to take the pressure off, and also that you want to divert the focus on something else, because you know that your next game, you can only perform as well. And the mention that he did regarding the head, the legs, I feel the energy dropped a little bit at the Chelsea side, and that's why I feel like something is a little bit tricky for them.
What is tricky for them is conceding goals. 4 conceded against Brentford Saturday, 3 last night. Tuchel says, I mean, he's alarmed by this. What has happened defensively in the last couple of games?
I feel like, look, when you watch the Chelsea side, I think sometimes the tempo is very low. The tempo can be low in a certain game when you try to break people down, and when you look at certain things, you got to keep the speed up. But when your legs are not forming, and I don't want to say the legs because the guys are young boys, you know, in the team, so normally it happens to older players. But just seeing things like putting the pressure more onto the defense, then you start conceding more. Of course, 4-1 against a Brentford team at home, and then your next game you play against a Real side. Okay, Real, of course, is a totally different tycoon compared to what Brentford is, with all the respect. But still, you feel like this cannot happen when you put your team right and the energy drops that heavily. And also, it always happens after the national team games. It's so difficult for players to come back. Sometimes people don't understand it, because the traveling that you do to play for your country and then to come back, but then come back with an answer like that. And then Real was, of course, a little bit later, but still, I feel like the guys didn't go over and didn't recover as much as they needed to be, while Real did.
Did he get his tactics wrong, do you think? Maybe when you look at, I guess, midfield, they looked a bit overrun last night. Do you think it was a mistake to leave Mateo Kovacic out from the start?
You know, like, that's an interesting catch, you know, from you, because you know why? When you look at the final game, they were actually stronger there. And the way he set them up, we were all like, oh, that was a great pick. Now, when you look at the team, I looked at them, you know, the first half, and then coming into the second half, I felt like I don't want to keep dropping on the energy, but Kovacic brought the energy that they were missing. Of course, they conceded really early, but it does, you know, in the second half. But it does not matter. I felt like he should know his side, what his side needs. And I felt like in the middle of the park, you knew that you had to make the game, because Real doesn't have to make the game. They were sitting back. Tactically, they were waiting for you to advance. And every time you advance, they hit you on the break. And how fast were they coming out of their break? It's almost like how Chelsea likes to play when they don't make the game. They want to play in a certain way, like hitting you on the break. When you make a mistake or whatever happens, they hit you on a counter-attack. And I felt like Real masterminded well. Why? Because Ancelotti knows Chelsea really well.
We did see an uncharacteristic mistake from Edouard Mendy, didn't we? How much of a game changer was that to let Real Madrid back in right after half-time?
Yeah, I know. Look, you don't want things like that to happen, and I know that the moment Mendy controlled the ball, he was already advanced in his in his position, but then he passed the ball too soft to Rudiger, and Rudiger, okay, tried to anticipate, but going with his left foot is probably not his strongest. But you can't. I mean, we can highlight that, but Mendy knows what he did. You understand? He should have cleaned the ball there if he doesn't know the decision. And sometimes the way football is now. Yeah, when you look at goalkeepers, they take a risk and it works out every time. It's fine. And there comes a moment where things like this happen. And that's what happened yesterday. It was too early, second half, your tactics, Tuchel changed everything. He set everything up. And then you come out and then you can see that early. What is it, the 46 minutes or something it was? And you can see that early. All your tactics go through the window because you don't know what to do now. Now you got to change everything.
I mean, there's still 5 points ahead of Arsenal and Tottenham just below them. But Tuchel said he's more worried about Southampton away on Saturday than the second leg of this. Is staying in that top 4 a real concern for Chelsea now?
I mean, look, they have a squad that should be capable to get them into that position. You understand, and making them. Stay in the position where they are right now. But you have to make sure that you're playing against a Southampton team. They have no pressure. The only thing that Southampton now has to do, what is it? If you win maybe, 2 games in the overall games that are still left, then, I mean, and even now, you don't know if the guys at the bottom are going to catch up and come close to Southampton. So they have no pressure at all. And they're facing a Chelsea side where they can wait and play the way they want to play. And, of course, when a big team comes like Chelsea to Southampton, you're always going to be ready. I mean, I had it when I was when I was at Chelsea, and also the opposite side. I always was waiting for the big game, so they'll be ready for that, and that's why Tuchel highlighted that, because the confidence of Southampton will dictate the confidence how they will go into the game against Real Madrid.
Right, we've got to mention what we talked about earlier. We've got to talk about Karim Benzema getting better with age, apparently 34 years old. But my goodness, consecutive hat-tricks now for him in the Champions League. Just how good was he last night? The world's best number 9, do we think?
Yeah, I think he's up there. I mean, look, I was fortunate to play against him. I was in France for 1 year, and he was at Lyon at that time. And at that time, he was like on the ball, dribbling, it was difficult to stop him. But now he dictates when he wants to be, what he wants to do. And I think last night was a perfect example of a player that knows everything about himself and also about how he can hurt the opponents. The way he played, how confident he was. Look how much space he had. If you look at the space, how much freedom he had, and like the first goal when he scored the header, the way he ran in, boom, scored the header. But then the second one, he finds a gap exactly to be on the shoulder of, I think it was Silva, if I'm right, to find the ball there and header the ball. But just for me as a player, he's so well developed. So many years he's been at the club, and people have been talking about, look, I mean, we had Cristiano there, we had other players, you understand, that were involved. But now it's him. He's the main man in that team, and he makes them tick. And that's why Ancelotti made that comment. And he said, look, I understand that we're focusing on him. There are more players. But he honestly said, he called him the big Benzema. And Italians love saying that. The grand Benzema. So, yeah, I like the way he plays.
Benzema will be welcoming Chelsea to Real Madrid for this second leg. Did Chelsea have any hope of turning it around?
Oh, it's a tricky one. I like that question. I would love to say something else, but it's going to be a tough one. I feel like games like this, when you know you got to compete and try to they have to score 3 goals to at least make it a game, you have to score really early. And when you score really early, you put pressure on them. So I think that's going to have to be your main focus, because if it takes too long, then you start making stupid mistakes because you start opening spaces up. And that's exactly what Real Madrid wants. They want, as soon as you open a space up, they are a side that know where they can hurt you. And that's going to be very dangerous for Chelsea to face.